So awesome to be with you. What a joy it is, and what a joy it is to be able to be a part of here today. My beautiful wife has joined me, Laura, which is a cousin of Pastor Fred, and it is a joy. It is a joy to be here with her and her have accompanied me. I travel a ton, and also want to point out how much I love the Rodriguez family. I don't know if you guys realize, but you have some of the best pastors on the planet with the Pastor Fred and Kathy. Would you honor them, both of them? Just thank them so much. Love them, love their kids, and I've known them. I became a Christian when I was 14, got invited to a youth group. Pastor Fred was the associate pastor there, took me under his wing. My first funeral, he showed me how to do it. I was only like 17 years old, and I was scared to death the whole time. I'm like, people are alive, and then there's nobody alive here. This is freaking me out. But he was just a guide to me and a teacher and such a friend. And I love him so very, very much. Everything that I do and God's allowed us to touch. My wife and I, we started South Hills. We have 12 campuses nationwide. We're in Ohio. We're in Idaho. We're in Virginia. We started Church Boom. We coach pastors. And everything I do has this man's handprint all over it. And so his fruit, I think the kingdom ultimately keeps the score. And his scoreboard's going to be huge. And not only that, he does everything. He's on guitar over here. Then he comes down here for prayer. Then he preaches. I went and got a cup of coffee. He served me that. On the way in, I stopped at Chevron. He pumped my gas. I was like, this guy does everything. And he's awesome. But hey, it's awesome to be able to be with you. And a little bit about me real quick, and then we'll jump into it. Been married for 32 years to that beautiful woman right there. We have two children, two amazing children. And then we have this third one. No, I'm totally playing. Everybody's got one. No, I'm joking. And then we have two grandchildren, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. How many grandparents do we have here? Isn't it the best thing on the planet? It's so much better than parenting. It's God's gift to you for you not killing your own kid. That's really what it is. I was holding my granddaughter recently, and my adult son says to me, "Dad, it's like you love her more." I said, "No, it's not like I do. I do." I want to be very clear. You had a good run. It's over for you. Grandparents, am I right? It's done for you. So we're the founders of South Hills Church, the founder of Church Boom, and what I'm going to be talking about today, I want to minister to you for a few minutes. I want to turn the corner at the end, because a couple of years ago, we're not only helping churches, but a couple of years ago, God put in our heart to start rescuing churches. America, for the last 10 straight years, we close more churches than we open. For every 1,000 churches that open, 2,000 close in America. And we're going the wrong way. So a couple of years ago, we came up with this idea called Church Rescue, and we've been rescuing churches all across America. Because how many believe that? We used to say sometimes like, man, it's not the same. America's not the same place it was 20 years ago. It's not the same place it was 20 months ago. It is. It's like common sense has become a superpower. And some of you will get that a little later. But we are fighting for America's churches, and we are fighting in a big way. Matter of fact, just this month alone, we'll rescue and coach 302 churches, just this month alone. And we're doing everything we can to fight for America's churches, because we believe with all our heart that if the lighthouse is going out of America, we lose America. And we don't want to lose America. So I'm going to minister to you first, and then we'll turn the corner. If you have a Bible, go to John chapter 5. John chapter 5 is where we'll be looking. If you don't have a Bible, next time at a hotel, get one. They're free. I steal them all the time, and then I sell them on eBay. It's a side hustle. John chapter 5 is what we're going to look at this morning. A while back, I was late for an appointment. I hate being late. I like being on time. And I was flying down the freeway, and I know that I was going way too fast, but I was late for an appointment, and I'm flying down the freeway. And how many have ever been going too fast, or you run a yellow light and you say a quick prayer? Isn't that funny? Lord, as I break the law, may you be with me. And I'm flying down the freeway. I know I'm going way too fast, and all of a sudden I look in the mirror, and I was going to a speaking engagement, and I look in the mirror, and there's the red and blue lights. And I'm like, oh no. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to be late, and it's going to cost me money and all that. So I thought about it for a minute, and I punched it. No, I'm just joking. I pulled over, and they pull me over, and I get pulled over. And he comes walking up, and I'm like, oh man, Lord, this is gonna cost me money. It's taking too long. And I look over and I see my Bible sitting there. And I'm thinking, and I know this is bad, and I know you're all gonna judge me. I just wanna be honest with you, And by the way, don't you love it when a pastor says, can I be honest with you? Because I'm always thinking, what have you been doing up to this point? But I take the Bible, and it's right over here, and he's coming walking up, and I know this is bad, but I take my Bible and I put it on the dashboard. How horrible is that? Because I'm thinking, maybe he's one of us. And so I put a little cup of tea and a candle next to it because it's got to look like a social media devotion. And he comes walking up and he says, license and registration, please. And so I give him a license and registration. He starts talking to me. The whole time, Pastor Fred, he keeps looking at my Bible and he's looking at me, looking at my Bible and looking at me. And I'm thinking, he sees it. I know it, And so he goes, I'll be back in a second. He goes back. I look in the mirror. He starts writing me a ticket. And I'm thinking, what happened? I thought we were with me, And then he comes walking back up. He has my license registration back, sign here, do this, do that. Tells me the whole time he keeps looking at my Bible. Finally, he says, all right, well, have a good day, drive safely. He starts walking away. He leans his head back in the window, points at my Bible and says, oh, by the way, read Romans 13:1. Now, I know a lot of scripture. I don't have everything memorized. He takes off. I open it up. Obey the laws of the land. My luck, I had to get a Christian cop, and you know what he's really telling me? He was really telling me, hey, buddy, you might want to follow the entire Bible. You ever notice how easy it is to follow part of it, but not all of it? You ever notice how easy it is to claim God's promises for other people, but not for yourself? And sometimes when we don't claim the over 3,000 promises in the Bible for ourselves, we sometimes get stuck sometimes in our life because we don't feel like God's gonna move us on. We can believe it for someone else, but not for ourselves. It's like getting stuck in the mud and your tires start spinning and you have that feeling of being stuck. And a lot of times in our life, we end up getting stuck in the mud. Let me show you a little bit of what it looks like. Put it on the screen for me. Back up. We're gonna go to the life before the wall. There we are. Here's life before the wall. Say life before the wall. Okay, this is life before the wall. Everything's happy. You're doing good. You're making money. You got a career. Family's happy. Marriage is good. Whatever. Life is going good. And then something happens and you end up looking like this. This is life inside the wall. Okay? All of a sudden it's like, well, what happened? Now you get in that wall and the wife left. The husband left, the betrayal, the debt, the insecurity, the bitterness, the anger, and you live inside of this wall of anger and bitterness or resentment, or you're upset, or you just can't seem to get out of being inside of that wall. Or maybe it's just simply, you know what? I'm in the wall and I thought I would be a lot farther in life than I am right now. Why am I not farther in life? Why am I still bitter? Why am I still angry? Why am I still in debt? And you get inside of the wall. Now, here's what happens. Put it on the screen for me. You really have two choices, okay? You can either stay in the wall or get to the other side of the wall, but please understand something. There's no such thing as life before the wall anymore. That's a hard reality to face. The reality is this: we're either in the wall or we're gonna get to the other side of the wall because there's no such thing as life before the wall. And we all get into the wall at times. Man, debt puts us there, forgiveness, our lack of forgiveness, our insecurity, or maybe we just thought we'd be farther along in life. We're still angry at someone. This thing happened to us and we just seem to be stuck in the wall and we can't get to the other side. There's a great story in John chapter 5. Jesus, it's the Holy Day Festival. And he walks into the gates of Jerusalem. I've actually been there. And he walks in, and there's a holy festival going on. There's a kind of a party going on. And Jesus walks over to this area called the Pool of Bethesda, which translated means the Pool of Mercy. He walks over, and he sees a guy standing there. Now, please understand something. The reason for the pool was there was a body of water, and there were 5 porches. And sick people would lay under the porch all day long. They would lay under the porch, and when the angel would come and stir the water, they would try to get over to the water while it was stirring. If they got there in time, it would heal their body. So they would lay under the porch to avoid the hot sun of Israel, and there were 5 porches, and then they'd run over and try to, get inside of the water. And so Jesus comes walking up on a guy that's laying under the porch, and he has this conversation with him. Here's how it goes in chapter 5, verse 1 of John. Here we go. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. Inside the city near the sheep gate was the pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, lay on the porches. One of the men lying there, help me out now, has been sick for how long? Oh, it's not a trick question. We can all say it together. Here we go. How long? 38 years. Okay, 38 years. Now, it doesn't say that he'd been laying under the porch and going to that pool for 38 years. Let's just say it was for 5 years. Okay, watch this. He's been sick for 38 years. Let's say for 5 years, he's laid under the porch, tried to get over to the water, didn't make it in time, went back to the porch, would wait, and hundreds of days would go by. Here's the point. This man is sick for hundreds of days. He comes out to the porch, waits for the water, doesn't get there in time. Okay, goes back, waits for maybe because other people got in front of him, maybe because he was too slow, but here's the point. The system wasn't working. Whatever he was doing wasn't working. Folks, if you go out to the porch and try to get to the water at 585 times, you'd think, you know what, I got to come up with a different plan. I'm not making it to the water in time. The system isn't working. I think sometimes that when we get stuck inside the wall, and I think he was stuck in a wall of sickness, but when we get stuck in the wall of being bitter or angry or resentful or addicted, or we don't seem to get past that problem, or we're not as far in life, is it worth asking ourselves, is the system working? Maybe what we're doing isn't working, and I think that was part of the problem for this guy. Okay, here's the bottom line. You can't change the future until you disrupt your present. You can't do it. The man wanted to be healed. You can't change your future until you're willing to disrupt the present. Something's got to change here in order for it to change over here. I'm stuck in the wall. Well, what you're doing isn't working. Hey, I need some counseling. Maybe. I need some financial guidance. Maybe. I need to learn to forgive. Okay. Something's got to happen. Because if you come and you live inside of the wall and you're not getting to the other side and you've been stuck in that wall for 585 days like this guy, you got to say to yourself, then my system isn't working. I've written a bunch of books. No one reads them, but I write them. They're good coasters. They really work great for your cups. But no, I've written a bunch of books. And one of the books that I wrote did extremely well. It was called Quit Church. Because your life would be better if you did. So I wrote a book called Quit Church. Now, when you're a pastor and you write a book called Quit Church, people have something to say about it. And it normally ain't positive. But I write this book called Quit Church, and I got to tell you, for whatever reason, it did really, really well. It went #1 on Reddit, #1 on Amazon. Fox News got a hold of it. We were on Fox News and Friends. We were on all these TV shows. And when it came out on Fox News and Friends, in 1 hour, we got 100,000 emails. And some of the people were nice. Some of the people, quit church, what's your problem? You know, all this stuff. So then, right in the middle of all of it, I'm actually flying, I think, to Dallas or something, and I was going to be on a TV show, and I was going to speak, and I get there, I get off the plane, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I get on the shuttle for the hotel. 2 ladies are right in front of me. I'm back there just returning emails, 10 o'clock at night. 2 ladies are in front of me. I don't know who they are. I don't know their name, but I could tell they were Christian. And I'm just sitting back there just doing my thing, but they're Christian, you know, and I tell they're talking, and all of a sudden, one of them says to the other, she holds up her cell phone. She goes, hey. She goes, have you heard of this book? The other lady goes, what book? And then she goes, Quit Church, and she holds up her cell phone. And I lean over, I'm like, oh, that's my book. And I'm thinking, this is gonna get good. And then the other lady goes, Quit Church? And I'm sitting right behind them, you know, and Quit Church, what kind of book is that? I don't know, apparently it's a Christian book. A Christian book? Yeah, who's it written by? It's written by some guy in California. A guy in California, yeah. Apparently, he's a pastor. And I kid you not, word for word, the other lady goes, he's not a pastor, he's an idiot. And I'm sitting right behind them. You can't write this stuff. And I'm sitting right behind them, you know, and I'm doing this. They started talking. They got all worked up as if it was like this. They got all worked up and they turned around. They invited me into the conversation, which I thought, okay, this is going to get good. And she invited me into the conversation. And it was the funniest thing. She turns around, she goes, can you believe it? And I'm like, what? Acting like I wasn't listening, you know. I'm just back here praying and fasting. And she goes, what? And I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, a book. I said, what book? She holds it up on her phone, and there it is. She goes, it's called Quit Church. I go, really? Wow. And she goes, have you heard of the book? I said, yeah, I've heard of it. And the other lady goes, have you read it? And I said, I'll give you one even better than that. I wrote it. And the other lady, that's not true. And I know what she's doing. She's hitting the button that says author. She gets my picture, puts it up next to my head, and she goes, and she freaks out. And here comes the apologies. We're so sorry. Oh, I love this line. Had we known you were here, we wouldn't have talked bad about you. Spoken like a true believer. We'd have waited to talk behind your back like God intended. And so we get off of the shuttle, we go, and we're standing in line. And at the hotel, and they're telling me, one of the ladies tells me that she'd been through a lot. She told me about the problems that she went through. She told me about the divorce that she went through. She told me her husband was abusive, all this other stuff, all these things. I give him my email. Says, if I can ever help you, please let me know. I give him my email. A year and a half, I think a couple of years went by. All of a sudden, I hear from them. The one lady, she emails me. She goes, Pastor Chris, I don't know if you remember us, but we're the ladies from the I'm like, oh, I remember you. I'm still getting counseling. And says, do you remember us? And whatever. And long story short, she invites me. She happened to be in LA. I live in Orange County. And she's like, would you come and speak to my leadership? And I'm like, leadership? This is a lady that went through the divorce and all that. And I told her the book, Quit Church, that I wrote, it was about getting to the other side of the wall. I said, you guys are judging the book. It's about not quitting church, about quitting just going to church. Go all in. Go all in with Jesus. Go all in with God. That's the whole point of the book. Get to the other side of the wall. Go all in. So anyway, I go down there. I speak to her leadership group, kind of find out. When we talked in that day, she got the book, she read the book. She went and got counseling because she was stuck in the wall with bitterness. She went and became a licensed pastor. She opened up a home for men that abuse women. She opened up a home for women that were abused. She opened up this addiction home. She had leadership there. I was so proud of her. After the thing, we're all standing there talking, and I just gave her a hug. I said, I'm so proud of you. And she leaned in, and she goes, I got to the other side of the wall. And I just think about how much goodness is on the other side of the wall. What God wants to do when we get to the other side of the wall. Why do we get angry? Why do we get bitter? Why do we judge people? Why is it that we don't feel like we're as far as we should be in life? And when we get to the other side of the wall, it's an amazing thing. And that's what happened for this lady. Let's go back to the story. Jesus walks up on the scene. The guy's laying under the porch. He's been there for hundreds of days, back and forth to the porch, never getting healed. His system isn't working. Now, let's pick it up in verse 6. Let's pick up John chapter 5, verse 6. I love this. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked, help me out, would you like to what? 6 simple words. You guys, this is an amazing portion of scripture. Because he walks up, Jesus, the guy's laying under the porch, been there for hundreds of days, and he walks up and goes, would you like to get well? This is not a difficult conversation. Not a difficult question. You want to get well or not? It's just a yes or no. We don't need anything else. Do you want to get well? Yes or no. You know what's fascinating though? It's not Jesus's question that fascinates me, because it's really easy. What fascinates me is the man's response. Because the man's response tells me why he's stuck in the wall. Look at the man's response. First 2 words. What is it? Hold on. Do you want to get well or not? I can't. Here comes the excuses. Why are you stuck in the wall? I can't get out. You don't understand what I've been through. I can't, sir, the sick man said, for I have no one to put me in the pool when the water bubbles up. In white, one more time. In white, what's it say? Someone else always gets ahead of me. Oh, wait. Do you want to get well? Yes, and I can't, because someone gets in my way. Something gets in my way. Let me tell you why I'm bitter. It's someone else's fault. Let me tell you why I'm stuck in the wall and not as far along in life as I thought I would be. It's someone else's fault. Let me tell you why I'm still angry. It's someone else's fault. I can't. Jesus didn't ask that. All I want to know is, do you want to get well? Yes or no? But I can't, because it's someone. Come on. We do that all the time. Here's the thing with this guy. The reason he couldn't get out of the wall and the reason he said, I can't, it's always someone else's fault, is because he got so used to telling himself the story over and over. It's someone else's fault. It's not my fault and the reason that I'm here. And we do the same thing. Hey, Pastor Chris, it's my dad's fault. It's my mom's fault. It's how I grew up. I tell you, I would have went to college, but my parents never gave me any money for it. That's why let me tell you why I'm still angry, because my husband, because of this, because of that. And I get it, and I'm not minimizing anybody's hurts. Believe me, I got plenty of scars. I'm not minimizing anybody's hurt. But at some point in your life, you just got to walk up and take responsibility and say, I'm in the wall, and I got to get to the other side of the wall. Understand something. I think that we always come up with excuses because somehow we think it minimizes our responsibility. Revelation always requires responsibility. When you know you need to get to the other side of the wall, we're responsible to get to the other side of the wall. But for some reason, we just stay there. I want to encourage you to do this. I want to encourage you to challenge the story you keep telling yourself. What is the story you keep telling yourself? Is it just a way for you to talk your way out of what you know is your responsibility? Because I think that's what this man was doing. Jesus, very simple yes or no question. You want to get well? It can't get any simpler than that. Well, let me tell you, I can't, because it's someone else's fault. We always want to blame. I think we're good at it. We all struggle with that. A few years back, we have a bunch of campuses now, and a few years back, we were speaking regularly at one of our campuses, one of our larger campuses, and a lot of the people in the city know you and stuff, so whatever. But I get done at the office, my wife texts me and says, hey, we need to can you pick up these grocery items? I said, sure. On the way home, I pick up the grocery items at wherever, Albertsons, Stater Brothers, whatever, and I go in there and I give the grocery items, and the lady says, rings it up, and she goes, whatever, that'll be $25.87. This was a few years ago when you could buy stuff for $25.87. Now it just gets you an egg, not a dozen. You just get an egg. And so $25.87. She goes, okay. And she goes, you can't tap it. You got to swipe your card. I'm like, okay, whatever. I swipe the card. It says declined. How many of you have ever had that happen to you? And what do you say? I don't know why. I got a lot of money. I was at the bank this morning and I did the same thing. I don't know why. And the lady's like, you loser. And I did the whole thing. I don't know why. I got money in the bank, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, well, sir, you just have to get online. I go, just one more time. She resets it. Boom, I swipe it. Declined again. Now there's a scene because the line's forming. The manager comes over. It's all happening. Some guy, 4 people back, he's like, Pastor Chris, is that you? And I'm like, no, it's his twin brother, Craig. I'm doing whatever I can to get out of it. So the manager goes, sir, you got to get online. I said, sir, I know there's money in there. Come on, please, blah, blah, blah. We go back and forth. Finally, he goes, okay, this is your last time, sir, and you got to get out of line. This is the 3rd time. He resets it. As he resets it, I go back down to grab my wallet, look inside my card, and I realize the whole time I haven't been swiping my Chase bank card. I've been swiping my Chevron card. That's why it says declined. So I don't let him see it. I go like this and I switch the card. He goes, okay, swipe it. I swipe it. It says approved. The manager says, sir, we're sorry. I said, I hope so. I have a reputation in this town. I'm going to straight up tell you the truth. I didn't tell him the truth because I was like, I don't want to be embarrassed. Just give me my cards. I'm out of here. Give me my egg. I did not want to get embarrassed. And I didn't tell him the truth. And I think if we're all honest, sometimes we don't want to take responsibility for things that happen. And we sure don't want to take responsibility when we're in the wall. It's just a lot easier to do what the sick guy did. It's someone else's fault. It ain't my fault. Now, let's go back to the scripture. Verse 8 through 9. Jesus told him, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. You know what I love about this scripture? I love that Jesus doesn't even address the man's excuse. Not that he doesn't love him, but I find it fascinating. He doesn't acknowledge it. Lord, it's someone else's fault. It ain't my fault. I mean, you don't understand. Just get up and walk. I love that it's like, okay, I hear all that, and it's not that I don't care. Just get up and walk. I wonder if you and I would say, man, I'm stuck in the wall, and Lord, you don't understand. And I wonder if he would just go, just get out of the wall. Just get out. You want to get out or not? It's just that simple. And here's the thing is that you and I, we don't always have the power to surrender. but we always have the power, or we don't always have the power to control, but we always have the power to surrender. We don't always have the power to control, but we always have the power to surrender. He was just like, okay, fine, I'll get up. And he walked and he was healed because he finally just decided, I'm done. You know what? Every day they would come out to the porch in the morning. They would get under the porch. They would wait for the water to stir. They'd try to make it. They'd come back to the porch. When the sun went down, they went back home. Woke up in the morning, came back out, went under the porch, waited for the water to stir, came back under the porch, and then went home and slept for the night. I think it would be great if on May 5th, 2024, that you just decided right now, I am never coming back to this porch. I am never coming back to this bitterness, this anger, this resentment, this problem, this issue, this addiction, this excuse of why I'm not where I want to be in life. I am not coming back to the porch anymore. It changes today. Now, I want to encourage you. We're going to turn the corner here for the last few minutes. I want to encourage you. If you're in that wall, get out of the wall. Grab your arms onto Jesus and get out of that wall. I'm not where I should be. Get to work. God worries about the harvest. You worry about the hustle. God, I'm going to do whatever I can to get back and do what I need to do to get out of this wall. And Lord, I pray you would help every one of us to do that. I want to turn the corner because we all have a common problem here today. I told you at the beginning that we coach pastors and we rescue churches. And you guys are going to have an opportunity to help us rescue some churches. Pastor Fred will lead you in that moment in just a few minutes. But I want to tell you something. The local church, I love the local church. I think everybody should be a part of the local church. I think, Rick Warren once said the local church is the hope of the world. I believe that. I really do believe that. But we're losing. Let me show you. Just like you had life before the wall, the church had life before the wall. This is life before the wall. Did you know in the 1950s and the 1960s that church population was outgrowing America's population? You know what that meant? That meant more people were being saved than more kids were being born. Isn't that amazing? But something happened as we got a little bit older in the 1980s, 90s, 2000, especially in the last 24 years since 2000, turn of the century. Man, something began to change. Here's some of the problems real quick. Here's problem number one. You know what the blue line represents? The blue line represents the weekly attendance of people, Christians in church. It's going down. It's down to below 1.5 per month. Less than 2 times per month, people going to church. Okay, what's the yellow line represent? People that no longer go to church. Folks, this is a major problem. This isn't a small problem, you guys, because you know why? It's happening on our watch. Didn't happen in the 50s. It's happening right now on my watch and your watch. Here's problem number 2. Problem number 2 is this. Put it on the screen for me if we could. Between 6,000 to 10,000 churches in the U.S. are dying each year. Look at this next sentence. That means around 100 to 200 churches will close this week. Folks, listen. 100 to 200 churches this morning, right now, are having their final service. What do you think about that? And the next Sunday, another 100 to 200 will have their final service. Then the next Sunday, another 100 to 200 will have their final service. Something's got to be done, man. I don't think we're going to get to heaven and Jesus say, you all know that we were in the ER and you did nothing. Something's got to be done. And then there's problem number 3, real quick. Problem number 3, 46% of all pastors under the age 45 are considering quitting the ministry. Did you know last month alone, 1,500 pastors quit the ministry? It's just discouraging when you get down to 30, 40 people and you can't pay the bills. Look at this, 76% of all pastors admit to feeling inadequate for the job and feel like they need help. We saw these stats a couple of years ago. So what we did is this. We realized America's closing more churches than it opens. 84% of all churches are in decline. 84%. We can't sit by and do nothing. Do you know the number 1 fastest growing religion in America? Anybody want to guess? Muslim, mosques. Mosque. We are 14 years away. At the current rate, we are 14 years away. There will be more mosques in America than Christian churches. Okay, if you're 55 years old, 60 years old, it ain't making any difference to your life. But your kids and grandkids, it ain't gonna be the same America. We gotta fight for it, and we gotta fight to do something about it. We can't just sit by and do nothing. Long story short, got a bunch of pastors together, put them inside of a room about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and I said, hey, here's the problems we're having. We got inside of a room in Dallas, Texas. Every one of them have big old mega churches, and a lot of multi-site, and I'm like, we got to do something, you guys. I explained to them the entire problem. Someone raised their hand and said, man, we got to do something. And they said, do you have an idea? And I said, I do have an idea. I said, how many pastors ever saw the TV show Bar Rescue? None of them wanted to admit it. They're like, oh, no, never. I prayed during that whole episode. I'm like, okay, enough lying. Okay, now it means this, that they go in, they rescue this bar, they rescue the restaurant. You've seen the reality shows. I said, what if we created our own reality show? What if we started rescuing churches that were dying? Okay, how are we gonna rescue churches? Well, what if we take the pastor and we put him in a program for a whole year? And we teach him how to grow his church. And then what if we, for a whole year, we would help them with their finances, just like we did with an inner city church last week, writing a check for 10 grand and another church for 20 and 30 and 40, and just helping these churches. What if we do that? And then what if we send them on a 4-day retreat to really do some intensive with them? We had multiple people in the Rocky Mountains and in Nashville just this past week. I go, we'll pay for everything because they've got 30 people left in their church. And then everybody's like, that sounds awesome. How are we going to pay for it? I said, I got no idea. But what an idea it is, isn't it, you know? And then we just thought, well, what if we took healthy, amazing churches, and then the healthy, amazing churches would help the unhealthy churches? That seems like something Jesus would do. We got unhealthy churches in the emergency room. We got the bride of Christ bleeding out in the emergency room. We're on the way to become the next Europe. What if we said, man, let's fight for these churches and let's get them healthy? And then we said, well, how are we going to pay for it? We said, well, healthy churches will help. A lot of people say, well, if I give, how much goes to it? 100%. There's zero admin cost. Nothing. Someone writes a check for $500, $1,000, $20,000. We had someone recently write a check for $100,000. It's like that all goes to rescue churches. We don't take a dime. These are pastors across America who are joining the movement of rescuing churches. And we are doing it at an incredible pace. And we are seeing God help us rescue churches that are dying all across America. So I want to show you a quick video and then your pastor will come. Before you do that, could you grab your phone real quick? Grab your phone. That's the thing you've been acting like you're taking notes on, but you're texting. That thing. Go ahead and pull that out. We have a book, 11 stories from rescued pastors. And I want to give that to you just for free. All you do is give your name, your email. It's a digital, it'll download. Just all you got to do is just put your phone up to hit that little yellow thing. It'll pop up in your text, name, email, you're done. It's just a free book. It's 11 stories from rescued churches. We didn't write it, 11 stories of rescued churches called Reviving the Church in America. I want to give it to you as a free gift because your pastor is going to give an opportunity for us to rescue lots of churches this morning. And I just want to give to you that as a free gift. But I want to show you a video of one of the churches we've rescued. This video is living proof that rescued churches rescue people, and rescued churches will rescue America. We have got to come to the rescue. We cannot let Jesus take a back seat to any other religion or any other thing in this United States. We've got to keep him number one. Amen? Come on, amen? That's what we need to do. We are rescuing churches across America. I want to thank you in advance for coming to the rescue. Check out this video of a rescued church, one of hundreds we've rescued, and then your pastor will come. Check out this video. That's right. That's good.
The story of this church and the way that it began is one that was built off of failure. There was a church split and our church began. About 20 years later, the pastor of the church ended up in moral failure. Really, they ended up weathering some pretty tough years. And at the end of that, they had gone back to about 60 or 70 on a good weekend. And that was about the time that we came. Pastoring before church boom came into our life was scary. It was very difficult. We had never been in this position before. And as we came here, man, I wasn't really sure what to do. I wasn't sure how to make the dreams in my heart actually come to life with what God had told us.
As a pastor's wife, you do your best to support your husband. What was difficult was honestly to see him frustrated because he had vision, but he didn't have direction. He didn't know what questions he should be asking.
I was an addict for years. I was at home and I was drinking and all the family was gone doing something. I just sitting in my chair drinking whiskey by myself, and we got a call that my wife's mom got hit by a drunk driver. Woke up in the morning and that whiskey was still there, dumped it out. And get rid of it all. Started going to church.
Growing up, I just had more of that religious background rather than the relationship with Christ. So then as time went on, I just kept thinking to myself, like, man, there has to be more to God than just this. Like, we can't live up to this. I got really sad and angry and bitter. And instead of like realizing what it was, I started taking it out on my husband. As time progressed, I started having an emotional affair with this man. And after I had a physical affair with him, I remember going into the bathroom and looking in the mirror and saying, "Who am I? Who is this? I have never felt the Holy Spirit in my entire life." And whenever I worshiped for the first time at Waymaker, he just overtook me.
There was a sense of almost being rescued when Church Boom came, because I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't know what I should be looking for. And even in my coaching calls, I would tell Chris, I don't even know what I should be asking you right now. Would you help me? And I realized it wasn't until somebody with understanding came to help unlock the potential through the coaching. That's really what set us on that course. It's hard to place a value on what we've received through Church Boom, through the team at Church Boom, Pastor Chris himself. I'm also thankful that when they came in, the tools that Church Boom brought, it wasn't to get us to become something other than ourselves. And there's so many amazing resources that we're able to utilize.
When I think of this church, I think of happiness. I think of a place where I'm safe, where my family's safe.
Whenever I come to church now, I just feel so alive. Like, I look forward to it. I can't get enough of church. I need this place, and I couldn't do my life without Jesus and the people that are in this place.